to Georgina Slutinger, at Georgina Slutinger. First of all, I would like to say thank you. Thank you very much for leaving this comment 3 hours ago. Because you left this comment on a video where I happened to mention you for the very first time ever. And I published this video only about 7 hours ago. So that's a very fast turnaround. So the video was up for 4 hours. I didn't tag you in it. I didn't write your name anywhere in the description or the title. You just happened to be in the video, or your comment was, because I stumbled upon it whilst I was in the midst of making a video about something else. So this tells me that you are a gang stalker. This is even more evidence. Thank you for adding to my archive of evidence that I am being gang stalked, because you must be keeping very close tabs on my YouTube channel, and seriously sitting down and sitting through the videos and watching them, to have noticed that I mentioned you in that video. And I didn't mention you until about like halfway through the video, or even more than that, you know? So yeah, and then you feel the need to write yet another very long essay comments to me in response to this video. So for those of you who don't know the video I'm talking about, the title's right there at the top. Joe Big Beans, Gangstalker. What is the ZE? Yeah, so you're a gang stalker. You're a disgusting slime. That's a very fast turnaround, even for somebody who is like legitimately just a fan and likes to watch. You know, I have certain channels that I watch fairly regularly. I like to see some of the new stuff they have coming out, like what's the history cooking channel? I forget what it is. Cooking with History, something like that. Yeah, I have a few channels like that where I certainly don't. I mean, and I love the episodes, but I certainly don't go and look at every single one as soon as they come out. I feel like most people don't do that. And for somebody who's talking about how I have like no followers, and nobody paying attention to my feed, which you mentioned in a previous comment, that I have like nobody interested in anything I'm saying. Well, you seem to be pretty glued to my YouTube channel for the fact that you caught my randomly mentioning you and addressing a comment in the middle of one of my videos that I left only 7 hours ago. And I didn't tag you in the video or anything like that to draw your attention to the fact that you were mentioned in it. So, wow, you're a gang stalker. Okay? So, thank you very much. Just getting that part out of the way. Now, I'm going to address a few more things about some of the stuff you've said in your comments and about you, and then I'm going to block you from the channel. All right? So, first of all, I want to address your name. I mentioned in the video here, the last video, that your name looked like it was probably a German name, which I find to be interesting because I've mentioned in previous videos how the members of the cult of child traffickers, incestuous child traffickers, that I have been making videos about for a few years now, I've noticed that a lot of my suspects, if not almost pretty much all of my suspects, are of German descent. And even if it's just through their name, you can track their name seems to be of German origin, and or sometimes they are like just German citizens. Or their parents were German citizens. So like they're not very far off from Germany, you know? So let's just pull that up really quickly. We'll get back to this part really in a moment. But here we go. So on the surface, if you were to search, it says that your name is from England, but that's not entirely true. It was sort of brought over to England by German Jewish people. And that's another thing is like most of my suspects, they're not only German, they are of Jewish origin, which is very interesting. Again, this is nothing against all Germans. This is not against all Germans, and it's certainly not against all Jewish people. But as I said, every group has its bad eggs. This goes for Christians and Buddhists and all kinds of nationalities as well. Every group has its bad eggs. So Germans and Jews are not above that, right? There are going to be some naughty Germans and Jews, and there are going to be some naughty people who are both German and Jewish, or of German origin and Jewish. And I've said in the past how I believe that this cult is very much connected to the Frankist movement, and the Frankists were known to be crypto-Jews, as in they went underground, they slightly changed their names, they spread out all over the place. From areas like Frankfurt, Germany, where Zay Frank talks about Frankfurt, Germany quite often. He's my number one suspect. And they spread out from roughly that area to like places like Ireland and changed their name from Mayor to Mar, as in Bill Maher. You know, and they pretended to be other religions. Instead of being Jewish, they pretended to convert to Catholicism and such. But whilst practicing secret Kabbalistic Jewish traditions, you know, in private behind closed doors. So you're just lending more evidence to my case. You're just helping me to pile on the evidence. Thank you so much, honey. All right. And that's why I'm speaking to you in this way, because I have little to no respect for trash that engages in child trafficking and incest and rape of children. Why should I speak to you in any other way than in this manner? So, like, I know you're supposed to, respect the God in everybody, but in every human being, but I have trouble seeing you creatures as human beings, considering what you actively engage in, A, and B, I'd say that I'm showing you plenty of respect. Like the fact that I don't think that I don't say that you people should be stoned to death and, hung. That's showing you plenty of respect. That's enough respect considering what you people do. Or the fact that you are helping those people to get away with it, So, Slutinger actually comes from Schlesinger. It's a German Jewish name. Okay, it was brought over to England by Ralph Slosinger, I guess, from a German. He came from a Jewish German family. So yeah, you fit the bill, honey. You fit the bill for the kinds of suspects that I've been talking about. And let's just real quick, we'll circle back to some of the stuff you've been saying, although it really doesn't matter that much. I mean, but whatever. You have very little viewer engagement. I have very little viewer engagement, and yet you are literally you must be sitting down and watching my videos almost immediately as soon as they come out or within a few hours, because again, I've already said this, you caught me mentioning you in the middle of a video that you were not tagged in or anything like that. And I released this video only a few hours ago, 7 hours ago. And then you commented within 4 hours of my releasing it. So you really are keeping tabs on my YouTube channel pretty hardcore, honey. So how's that for viewer engagement? And you leave these long ass essay-like comments, just like Miss Melly Germany did. How's that for viewer engagement? She would turn around and comment pretty quickly. So she was keeping a very close eye on my YouTube channel as well. It seems like I have some very dedicated viewers out there. Very, very hardcore dedicated viewers. And I think, again, for most typical normal viewers, even if they have a favorite channel, it probably takes them within a few days, maybe at least half a day, to sit down and have a look at some of the videos. And I pumped out quite a few videos today. So, it's just, you must have really sat, or you were notified by someone else, right? About the video that you were mentioned in. So, which suggests conspiracy then as well. So, something about blah, blah, blah. I wanted to go over, I totally love and adore my man with whom I have been with for almost 10 years. Okay. So what? So what does that have to do with anything that I said? If he's a doormat type of guy, and I've met these, I mean, like, sure, you can, a female who doesn't understand, what it is to be a human woman can make that work. I've seen that happen. I've seen like very like butch things that are basically men with tits. You make long-term relationships work with men because men were just doormats and lapdogs. And it was really a matter of like, does he just do as he's told? Because that's all she's really looking for, rather than a partnership. She's looking for someone she can muscle into just doing as he's told. So that means nothing to me. You saying that you've been with some dude for over 10 years or almost 10 years. Oh, wait, here it is. And no, although there may be some exceptions, having your own mom as a matchmaker or hiring a matchmaker to find a suitable partner is not part of the cultural norm in white Western societies. That's very untrue. Dum-dum. So that's something I wanted to bring up right here. So there are lots of articles about this. Moms helping their daughters find husbands with matchmakers. You said in a previous comment that you wouldn't want your mother going out and finding a husband for you. Like, I didn't want my mom to go out and find a husband for me. I wanted my mom to help me hire a matchmaker, okay? And dudes aren't typically just approached by matchmakers. What happens is the dude wants a wife, and he wants a good wife. He doesn't want to have to go out to bars. He doesn't want to do the bar scene either. He doesn't want to go to craft markets and shit and wander around and hope he bumps into somebody. He wants it done efficiently, and he wants her vetted by some other people ahead of time. And quite often the people who go to matchmakers are people who've already had a track record of getting involved with bad people. And they don't want to have to go through that turmoil again. So they choose a third party who's good at this sort of thing and experienced and practiced at this sort of thing to help them find a match. And quite often what a matchmaker does is they have a variety of women who have come to them looking for a man, and they have a variety of men come to them looking for a woman. And they just have a client list, and they kind of look at the different clients, at the list of men and the list of women, and they see who they think will work out together. And they maybe put together like a few options for each client and then put them like on dates with each other. That sort of thing. It's very much like the online dating services, only a bit more personalized, honey bunny. Okay? Yeah. So, and no, I don't want to do any of those online elite dating services or whatever that you talked about, because again, I want my person to be on a list vetted by a third person, I don't want some random person who just had to open up an account on an online, matchmaking site or something like that. I've done those kinds of sites, like not the elite, whatever, blah, blah. And I met psychopaths, like straight up psychopaths who were starting cults. Actually, one guy he was trying to recruit me into a cult. He already had one girl in there, and he wanted a bunch of girls basically to help him run his farm and take care of his mother for him. It was really gross, and he thought I wouldn't notice stuff like that. He paid the one girl he already had hooked like $100 stipend, $50 or $100 stipend a month. Plus, she got free room and board. She got a free room in a farmhouse and $100 in exchange for working day in, day out, taking care of his goats and his whole farm and helping take care of his mother. And it's like I pointed out to him, like, the labor she's putting in is definitely worth more than a room in your house and like $100 stipend at the end of the month. And when he started to realize that I was smart enough to like point that shit out, like, he lost interest real quick. He was a cult leader. He was trying to start a little cult of uneducated, stupid women who don't think critically about anything, right? And we're just desperate for love. And again, that's another reason why I wanted to go to a matchmaker, because they are a professional. They won't bother with psychopaths and sociopaths. They won't bother with with lazy people and crazy people. They take on people who are educated, talented, who've proven like that they can work towards something, that they, so on and so forth. Yeah. So, and look, you see all these, there's lots of articles talking about, I won't pull any of them up, but I pulled some up and sent them to my mom even to show her, like, there are moms out there still today who are very concerned with the happiness of their adult children and trying to help them find a good partner, a life partner. And so there's all this stuff out there actually right now. Look. Oh my God. Yeah. So, Mama Knows Best, Mommy Matchmaker. I mean, not the best titles for these little sites and stuff, but maybe I should have found that one. There's one article that I'm thinking of that I sent to my mom specifically, but yeah, it's becoming more of a trend now. Because the dating sites like Bumble and Tinder and shit like that are just that. They're awful. They're shit, right? They've become like just, nookie sites. Like dudes get on there when they want to have like a weekend fling with some chick and they pretend that they are interested in a long-term relationship when really all they're interested in, a little bit of sex for a little while. And it's like, if a guy is paying a matchmaker a significant amount of money, that's one telltale sign that he's actually looking for a wife and a partner. He's not just looking to trick some woman into giving him some sex for a few weeks, something along those lines, right? So that's one of the biggest reasons why it's worth it to go to a matchmaker and hire a matchmaker. Okay, honey bunny? So you dumb. Like that, I never said I wanted my mom just walking up to dudes and asking them to marry me. That would be weird and creepy. But again, my mother like hands me information for dudes that she puts me out there and like tries to get me hired by people. So it's like, I don't know. At the very least, you could give me their information, have me look them up on Facebook if he's like an eligible bachelor type dude. And I could look him up on Facebook and friend him or something like that, because it's not that far off if he knows my mom that he would like pop up on my Facebook, right? That sort of thing. Or again, and at the very least, the way moms or anybody would typically go about something like that, if she were having a conversation with a guy that she thought would make a good match for her daughter, she would say like, "Oh, you like that? My daughter likes that too." That's so crazy because like not a lot of people like that sort of thing, but she's so into that. Like, so I should have her friend you or whatever you people do on Facebook, and then you guys can talk about your, passion for blah, blah, blah. Something along those lines. It doesn't have to be like, will you marry my daughter? Because that is creepy. You're right. But nobody and no mother, I think, in her right mind would go about it that way. So let's go back to, and then you mentioned something also in a previous comment, something about how women did not have a lot of options when it came to, or they had no options. I think you said something along those lines. They had no options to work back in the times of like Pride and Prejudice, Sense and Sensibility. They had limited options, you're right, but women were still able to be shopkeepers, governesses, teachers, all kinds of stuff. You had fishmonger maids. What was it called? Fish maidens or something like that. Like there were options for work for women. They weren't going to just starve to death and die. There was also prostitution. Not the best option. I'm not advocating for that, but I am saying that like, yeah, you know what? Women had actually had a lot more options for making money for themselves back then than women these days or men these days or anyone these days like to admit. Because it furthers the whole agenda of like, the independent free woman these days. women actually had a good amount of options for making money back then. And here's the thing is like, they'll say all the live long day that like, well, the options they had for making money for jobs didn't make them a lot of money. Well, a lot of women these days get into the same kinds of, I'd say most of the women these days in the workforce get into the same kinds of jobs, usually caretaking type jobs. Teaching, that's kind of caretaking, teaching children, governesses, nursing type of jobs. Most women these days in the workforce tend to take on those kinds of jobs. And still these days, it's still a complaint these days that most women are paid less than men. And a lot of those jobs are paid less than like, Wolf of Wall Street type jobs. So it's still, it's still a thing today, honey. It's still like, we haven't actually changed much. So, yeah. So yeah, a lot of the reasons why you're right. Some reasons why mothers tried to make sure that their daughters married well was because they wanted to make sure that their daughters had means to live. I guess they wanted to make sure that their daughters didn't have to work. But that's understandable because it's like it's enough work being a wife and a mother. And again, a wise woman understands that most women out there would want to be wives and mothers. I'm not saying all of them, but most of them do. And it's enough work keeping a house a home and educating your children and making sure they got 3 square meals a day and laundry and dirty dishes and so on and so forth. That's enough work. It was even more work back in the day before they had washing machines and so on and so forth. So, yeah, I'm sure mothers wanted to make sure that their daughters married well and were in a position where they didn't have to, be a fishmonger type of, like a fish maid selling her wares out on the streets or prostituting herself on the side or being a shop girl or a governess or something. Just to make ends meet because she married some dude who, I don't know, was lazy or an alcoholic or something along those lines and didn't make enough money to support a family. But I would say women these days, mothers these days are concerned or should be concerned. Good mothers these days should be concerned with the same things, right? Most moms out there don't want their daughters to marry a guy who can't support a family. Especially if they're smart, if they're wise women and they understand certain things like, okay, children primarily need mommy. Like the mother is the primary caregiver to the kids. That's going to take up a lot of her time, a lot of her energy, and it'll be best for her to not have to run herself ragged doing both that and having to bring in a second income because her husband is, again, like lazy or incapable of supporting the family. Or at least covering most of the expenses, right? Like this is why a lot of the reason why we don't, like mothers they're not typically thrilled to hear that their daughter got pregnant when she's a teenager. Why? Or by like her teenage boyfriend. Why? Because he's a teenager too. If he's young, he doesn't have an education. He probably doesn't have a good job or career. He probably can't support a family. And now, like, this is why we don't want, young unmarried mothers. This is why we don't like that. Even today, we don't. It's not a good position to be in, and society typically frowns upon it. Why? Because that kid's likely going to suffer, because the kid has not been born into a situation that's ideal, right? And the ideal situation is the man is paying the bills. The woman has the time to be home with her babies. Right? And the kid has all its needs met instead of the guy can barely pay any bills or is not around at all because it was a fling or some shit. And now mommy has to work full time and the kid is dumped in daycares and on relatives and barely gets to see mommy and doesn't have a stable living, like a stable household life or anything like that. You understand? It puts financial strain on the family as a whole. I've lived this because my youngest sister, had a baby out of wedlock with a dude who was no good, who's not given her a single cent ever towards raising, taking care of my niece. So that put a lot of strain on my family, and quite particularly on me. I didn't get to finish my education. I had to spend years basically being a backup mom to my niece while my sister worked her way through nursing school. And then even after she worked her way through nursing school, she had to do like 12-hour shifts and sleep it off the next day. I was still like babysitting my niece 3-4 days out of the week. Right. And prior to that, I was there with her every single day. We all lived together. So it was like day in, day out, sun up, sundown. As soon as my niece got up in the morning, Aunt Caddy was there doing everything for her. And so I didn't get to finish my education. I had to put my life on hold. I didn't get to pursue opportunities with men, so on and so forth. And this was all at the behest of my mother, by the way. Right? Because she wasn't thinking about what was best for me. She was thinking about she didn't want to have to pitch in and do any of this stuff for my sister and my niece. So anyway, I know firsthand how shitty it is for a woman to have a baby, or a girl to have a baby when she doesn't have a husband and she doesn't have the proper setup. It's not just shitty for the kid. It's not just shitty for the woman. It's shitty for all the relatives too. It's shitty for anyone helping out. It's shitty for a lot of people involved. It sucks. All right. So again, but again, it is in our nature as women, most of us who fall in the realm of normal, it's just nature. Okay. Kicking in, going like, mommy, baby time, baby time, baby time, mommy time, mommy time, mommy time. There's a reason why we have the phrase biological clock is ticking. All right. Most women want to have babies at some point in their lives. Most women want to be mommies. And in order for that to happen and happen well and smoothly and ideally, she needs a husband. And most women also don't want to just be all alone. They don't want to have a bed, a bare bed that they wake up in all alone every morning. Most women want to have a partner. All right? So in order to make sure all of that goes smoothly and goes off without a hitch, a wise woman, a wise mommy, will foresee this all coming down the road, and she will advise her daughter correctly, and she will help her daughter find a husband any way she can that is appropriate and not creepy. And one of those ways, and a way that is still utilized today in Western societies, is to hire a matchmaker. You dumb bitch. So shut the fuck up and get off my YouTube channel. All right? You dumb gang stalking bitch. Oh, it feels so good to unload on you people. I do have to say thank you to some degree. Thank you so much for being the assholes that you are, because it kind of gives me an excuse to just unleash all of my anxiety and nastiness on you. Because I don't really get to do this in any other venue of my life. Not that there are a lot of people out there actually in my life that I want to do this to, but yeah, you people really deserve it. Anyway, and I think that kind of just covers a lot of the stupid shit that you said in your comments. I will address really quickly. So let's see. Let me go back. I don't even know that I want to go crawling around looking for the rest of your comments or wait for them to pop up. Why is it so negative and aggressive? Because you're so stupid and you're not paying attention to other stuff. This one of these comments you left is basically you're saying the same shit that Melly Germany said, and then I did a series of videos taking her apart and explaining, answering a lot of the shit that she said that's almost identical to what you said. Here we go, like this. I gave a lot more reasons why Zay Frank is talking to me. I've given them over the course of many videos and pointed out many examples of Zay Frank having this kind of coded cryptic conversation with me. Beyond just the eel video, honey. All right. I very recently pointed out how in the spring of this year, 2024, I made a video talking about the 6 cats that I take care of. And then the following video that he released, the very next video that he released, he shows 6 illustrations of cats. 6 cats, an illustration of 6 different cats. Or the same cat 6 different times in 6 different motions. Oh my, what a coincidence. And then there's the fact that another one that I pointed out recently, how I posted on my WordPress blog. I posted an article, well, a little snippet that was addressed to Ze Frank, where I compared myself to the Babylonian goddess Inanna. And the Babylonian goddess Inanna, her spirit animal is the dove and or the pigeon. Pigeons and doves are the same thing. They're the same animal. They're interchangeable. And then the very next, like within 11 days of my posting that WordPress little article, whatever you want to call it, blog in my blog, he released a video about pigeons or doves. Same thing. It's the same animal. And that's, again, those are just 2 examples. There are way more examples of he and I having this back and forth where I post something in either my YouTube channel or my WordPress blog, and then his very next video, he will follow up with something that directly relates to what I had just posted. So and something I always say is like, there's room for coincidence in life, but once you reach a certain level of coincidence, you've gone past coincidence and into human conspiracy. So there's just too much coincidence there. This happens so many times. It's happened so many times between myself and Ze Frank that it's too much to be coincidence. And I would say that after almost about, a solid 2 years now of me releasing videos talking about him and accusing him of being in a cult that rapes children, he's certainly heard of me by now. Someone has certainly pointed me out to him by now. Someone has almost certainly copy-pasted the address, the URLs to some of my videos about him and emailed them to him. I haven't done that. Well, actually I have. But those were like private messages to him. I did it a couple times. Yeah. And I did that actually after he'd already made it clear to me that he was like talking to me. So, like, there are a lot of things. Anyway, yeah, I'm not going to get into it any more than that. I just gave you 2 perfectly good examples, and those are only 2 of several, many, many, many examples of Ze Frank releasing content that very much has to do with content I had just previously released. And you're just pointing out this one thing about the eel video and making it look like it's stupid, which is, what gangstalkers do. They try to make you look stupid. So I'm going to go ahead and turn around and point out how stupid you are. And again, Ze Frank has, a lot of Ze Frank's viewers are paid for, just like I'm sure he pays for gangstalkers like you, right? And or a lot of his viewers are in his cult, just like you could very likely be in the cult, right? So that doesn't really count. He's not really reaching like the public in an organic way, is he? He's a fraud. Yeah, and I'm just not even going to, again, a lot of this other stuff in the rest of this comment, I already addressed with Melly Germany, and I'm not going to go over it again. You're basically saying a lot of this, almost the same exact things that Melly Germany said, and I made plenty of videos picking her apart and proving my side of the argument and making her look like an idiot. So you just go watch those videos so you can feel like you're as big of an idiot as she is. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to block you from my channel. So how he's going to do this? Here we go. Hide user from channel. Goodbye. Idiot. And you know what? So I'm thinking this is going to be the last Gangstalker video for at least a good while. So you guys go ahead and you comment your stupid shit. I might hide you from the channel, but I'm not going to bother making any more videos about you, at least for a good long while, because I also understand that a lot of this is to distract me from getting work done on things like my Canva video projects, where I can more, what's the word I'm looking for? Clearly and concisely convey my reasons for accusing Ze Frank of being a member of a devil-worshipping cult, a cult that worships the Abrasics and likely engages in child abuse. Okay? And just to kick that one home, let's see. Yeah. Here we go. Ze Frank and the Western cult, Abrasics and pedophilia. What's your opinion, Ze? So I will leave this up right here for you guys to, let's flip it. So they can like look at this. I don't know if I can make it, can I make it smaller? No. Play. Yeah. So go ahead and I read this. I'm not going to read it out now, but I read it out in this particular video. For those of you who don't know anything about what I'm talking about, go ahead and find this video on my YouTube channel. And you can listen to me read out one of the reasons why I strongly suspect Ze Frank engages in child abuse, child trafficking. Okay? Because he makes so many references to the Abrasics in his content. And this is what the Abrasics is all about. All right. Goodbye, Miss Slutinger, slutface.